Hello, it's Daniel, and I'm going to go ahead and present my case via this recording. I feel that it's going to be a little bit easier for all of us to be able to do this. It will require me not writing and you not reading. So I think that might be a welcome relief given the amount of writing and reading we've had to do this past quarter. Um, I am focusing on a character named Joey from the movie Interiors. Interiors is a 1978 Woody Allen movie that explores the family dynamic after the mother in the family has a mental breakdown. Um, the movie begins after the mother's first breakdown, and we see the family begin to unravel, and they are in pieces. Um, the father, and their three daughters. The oldest daughter, Renata, the middle daughter, Joey, who's the focus of my study, and then the younger daughter, Flynn. The family, the mother is an interior designer. The father's profession is not clearly defined in the movie, but you can assume that, or I have assumed that his job is not in the arts, whereas the mother is very involved and very moved by high art. She has her older daughter who is a writer, a poet, and the younger daughter who is an actress. Joey, on the other hand, who is the middle child, is quite lost. She has very little focus, and she struggles in really trying to understand her purpose and her passion in life. Um, so I want to have you look at a scene from the movie. This scene is near the end of the movie, and it involves Joey and her mother. And basically, at this point in the movie, the father has divorced the mother and has just remarried his mistress, or the new woman in his life. Uh, the mother sneaks to the home to be there, and has this confrontation with Joey uh, in the family home that she made, but again, she's not really a part of any longer because of the fact that um, her husband just remarried and that other woman is there in the home. So I wanted you to take a look at this scene, and then I want to kind of delve deeper into it and then look at different aspects of Joey's personality based on this scene.
I feel like we're in a dream together. Please don't look so sad. It makes me feel so guilty. So consumed with guilt. It's ironic. Because, I've cared for you so. And you have nothing but disdain for me, and yet I feel guilty. I think you're really too perfect to live in this world. I mean, all the beautifully furnished rooms, carefully designed interiors, everything's so controlled. There wasn't any room for any real feelings. None. Between any of us. Except Renata. Who never gave you the time of day. You worship Renata. You worship talent. Well, what happens to those of us who can't create? What do we do? What do I do when I'm overwhelmed with feelings about life? How do I get them out? I feel such rage toward you. Oh, Mother. Don't you see? You're not just a sick woman. That would be too easy. The truth is, there's been perverseness and willfulness of attitude in many of the things you've done. At the center of a sick psyche, there is a sick spirit. But I love you. And we have no other choice but to forgive each other.
I want to go ahead and begin my discussion and analysis at Freud's Oedipus complex. I think many people misunderstand and have vilified the ideas due to some of the content and wording that it utilizes, but I feel this case provides a really good idea of how that might play out. So here we see Joey's mom has really taken something away from Joey, has not provided Joey some basic love, support, and nurturing. And in turn, Joey has now turned to her father to find these aspects in her life. In a sense, she is in competition with her mother for the attention of her father because of something that the mother has not provided or has taken away from Joey. In this particular situation, we see that Joey wins this competition because Joey has a deep and salient connection with her father, and in turn, the father has a deep and salient connection with Joey. In the end, the father does divorce the mother. So there are some issues there regarding that we can see. The other overriding issue is the fact that although she's in competition with the mother, she's still seeking the love and support of her mother, the acknowledgement and validation that her mother has yet to provide her, she's still seeing. And these are all aspects that we see within the Electra complex. I want to move now into some Jungian ideas of personality and how they would apply to Joey. I want to specifically look at ideas of ego formation and the subsequent development of the shadow and how that affected Joey early in life. So in the movie, we begin to understand that Joey's mother is extremely controlling. She creates a world in which her family lives in. In this world, everything has its place, every person plays a role, and there's no variation. At the very heart of this reality is the idea of creativity and the arts. This is something that Joey's mother holds of great value, and in turn, it becomes a very valuable idea within the family. When we consider this aspect, we can begin to understand that very early in Joey's life, there was an introduction of the archetype of the creator. This is a person with great imagination, an innovator, a dreamer, someone with great ability to create, the artist at the very heart of it. And in turn, this becomes very integrated into Joey's ego. Unfortunately for Joey, Joey is not an artist type. When we consider Jung's typology, we can see Joey more as a thinking sensation type and not a feeling intuitive type, feeling intuitive, being more typical of the artist, the creator. In turn, there's a great divide there, a schism that's created, because at the very basis of Joey's early ego formation are ideas in which she has no relation to, that she cannot be really connected to intuitively. In fact, when we consider Joey being more the thinking sensation type, we come to understand as those qualities come up in her life and she becomes able to identify with those qualities in her life, that because they are not identified with those ideas at the foundation of her ego, they would be put into her shadow. And therefore, we can see that within the shadow for Joey lies much of her strength, because those things that familially and in society she has been taught to hold in high regard, she has no connection to. And it's within the shadow that she'll eventually find her strength. The scene that I showed you early in the movie, I think plays really great relevance in this point. As she confronts her mother in that scene, it's in the shadow. And she begins to identify those aspects in which she is not, and where her struggle lies. And in turn, we see the emergence of the thinking and the sensation, and she becomes stronger because that's where her strength lies. So in retrospect, we begin to understand that as much as we see a negative within shadow, that Joey's shadow is filled with all her strengths, and in turn she can derive great strength and power from her shadow once she's able to work through that and identify with that. I'd like to wrap up my presentation by considering the work of Donald Winnicott and The Good Enough Mother. I find Donald Winnicott's work very interesting, and I think it applies very well to the case of Joey. Donald Winnicott believed that an infant is born into the world alone and is unable to survive or exist without the support or relationship of the mother. The mother, in turn, provides many of the early frames of reference for the infant. The infant, in turn, is in relationship with the mother, and they share many experiences. A mother's ability to meet the libidinal needs of the infant thus begin to provide the basis for an infant-id relationship. With a strong id relationship, ego-relatedness can flourish. When we consider the case of Joey, I think we can see that Joey has a strong id relationship, but really struggles with her ego-relatedness. I see that Joey's mom probably provided her with many of the basic necessities early in life. This is what led to a strong id relationship. Joey's mom had a very idealized take on what a family should look like. At the very least, we can assume that that outlook probably had a lot of the basic needs of the children met. Where Joey's mom probably failed her was to be truly attuned to Joey's needs and natural abilities. Joey's mom held very tightly the belief in the value of the creative life and the artistic life, something that Joey lacked. So deeply ingrained within Joey's ego were these senses of what was of value. Many of her natural abilities lived within the shadow. When I consider whether or not Joey's mom was good enough, I would tend to think that she was. She provided Joey with many of the basic needs that it took to really establish a relationship with her id. This really provided the foundation in which to work out the struggles within her ego. In turn, Joey was able to disown those parts of her ego that were not her own and reclaim those parts that resided in her shadow. In turn, I think in the long run that Joey's going to make it. I think that although her mother may have integrated a lot of negative, a lot of shame and hurt based on what Joey's natural abilities were, the fact that the mother had attuned to many of the basic needs of Joey provided the Joey with the basis of which to work out that ego relatedness component and become a more balanced individual. Hope that makes sense.